Alright, so we're going to go ahead and we're going to do some practice problems today, just to kind of refresh your memory to make sure you know what you're doing. So, let's start with 30b to the third minus 54b squared. So step one is to find a GCF. So if we look at these, we know that 6 goes into this number and 6 goes into this guy, and then b squared, b squared. So our GCF will be 6b squared. 6b squared. Divide 30 by 6 and we get 5. B to the third, b to the second, make b to the first. 54 divided by 6 is 9. B's cancel out. And then we look and we ask ourselves, will this continue to factor? And the answer is no. So we are done. So 6b squared times 5b minus 9 is our answer. Alright, so let's try another one. So we got z to the third minus 6z to the second minus 72z. So again, we want to find a GCF, which we know it's a z because all three of them have a z, and the smallest one is a 1, so z to the first. So that's our GCF. When this guy has a leading coefficient of 1, they don't have any numbers in common. So I'm going to take a z out of all three terms. So divide this guy by z, z squared. Divide this guy by z, negative 6z. Divide this guy by z, and we get negative 72. So then we look and ask ourselves if what's left in the parentheses will continue to factor. So what two numbers multiply to make negative 72, but subtract to make 6? So that would be negative 12 and positive 6. So I'd have z, and then parentheses, z minus 12, z plus 6. So very similar to what we did back in chapter 4, but just putting everything together. Alright, so let's try another one. Let's do 54 m to the third plus 18 m to the fourth plus 9m to the third. Oh, this was supposed to be a 5, sorry. 54m to the fifth plus 18m to the fourth plus 9m to the third. Alright, so we're looking for a GCF. 9 goes into all of them. 5, 4, 3, so 3 is the smallest one. And we're going to divide all these guys by 9m to the third. So 54 divided by 9 is 6. M to the fifth divided by m to the third is m squared. Plus 18 divided by 9 is 2m plus 1. Then we have to look and see if this factors. What two numbers multiply to make 6 and add to make 2. So we know we're good. It does not factor. And then let's do another one. I'm going to skip the sum and difference of two cubes because we just went over that yesterday. So I'm going to do this one. X cubed plus x squared plus x plus 1. So this is factor by grouping. Whenever you have 1, 2, 3, 4 terms, you have to factor by grouping. So what you do is you group these two together, and you group these two together, and you just look and see what they have in common. So these two have an x squared in common. So divide this by x squared, and you get x, plus divide this by x squared, and you get 1, plus, you just copy that sign down. What do these guys have in common? Only a 1. X divided by 1 is x, 1 divided by 1 is 1. Notice that the parentheses match, so you write that down. What's not in the parentheses? That's what you write down next. And then you check to see if these two binomials will factor. They don't, so we're done. So a factor by grouping is what you do when you have 1, 2, 3, 4 terms. So let's do one more of those, and then you guys will go ahead and start your assignment. Let's do n to the third plus 5n squared minus 9n minus 45. Right, so 1, 2, 3, 4. That's when you do factor by grouping. Group these two, group these two. Include the sign in the grouping. So what do these guys have in common? N squared. N cubed divided by n squared is n. 5n squared divided by n squared is 5. Both of these have a negative. Anytime this guy's negative, it's going to be negative. And then these guys have a 9 in common. So negative 9n divided by negative 9 is positive n. Negative 45 divided by negative n is positive 5. These match. So we write down what's in the parentheses one time. What's not in the parentheses? N squared minus 9. And then you look at these two binomials and see if they'll factor. No. This one is yes, because it's the difference of two squares. So we get to go one more step. Square root of the first, square root of the second, one gets a plus, one gets a minus. Alright? So try your best on those, and check your answers in the back of the book, work with each other, and we'll go over questions on Monday. You'll turn this in so I know, make sure that you finish it in class, and then we'll talk about it on Monday. Okay, let's see if I actually did anything.